This meeting is being recorded.
I welcome you to my session. Today I am going to talk on my recently published research work on an update on the two singlet dark matter model. In the beginning, I would like to talk about the model briefly. So, as the name suggests, it is a two singlet extension of the standard model. This is one of the minimal model for searching a viable dark matter candidate. Of course, we can argue that we can extend the standard model with only one singlet, and that can also be a potential dark matter candidate. But that singlet dark matter model has some difficulties, and here we would like to overcome it with the two singlet extension. Therefore, we are extending the standard model with two singlet S1 and S2. We are imposing Z2 cross Z2 prime symmetry. All the standard model particles are even under both Z2 and Z2 prime symmetry, and S1 is odd under Z2, even under Z2 prime. S2 is odd under Z2 prime and even under Z2. Now the Z2 symmetry is broken spontaneously, whereas the Z2 prime symmetry remains unbroken, and that in turn ensures the stability of S2, which turns out to be a potential dark matter candidate. Now, if you focus towards the scalar Lagrangian of the model, which is quite relevant, so here we'd like to particularly focus on the potential term, that is the interaction between the standard model doublet phi and the two singlet S1 and S2. So the scalar potential takes this form where we have the mass terms, the quartic couplings, and also this interaction between the phi and S1 and S2. So we'll see afterwards that in explaining and analyzing the phenomenology of the model, these parameter space uh, of the couplings are very much important, and that play a very important role. Now, after symmetry breaking, uh, two of the scalar, one that is the phi standard model doublet and S1 that takes a wave. So phi takes a wave V0, and for obvious reason we choose V0 to be 246 GeV, and S1 is taking the wave V1. We'll discuss about the values of V1 later. Now if you extremize the potential, we get this kind of mass matrix for the scalar sector, where we have H0 H1 which are non-diagonal, we can see, and of course we can diagonalize the mass matrix using a unitary rotation, and we can have obtained the mass eigenstate like H and capital H. So here we have denoted the mixing angle between two of the Higgs, H and capital H, and we can see that the mixing angle involves all the parameters which are required to explore the phenomenology like lambda 0 1, lambda 0, lambda 1 and V1. So apart from V0, which is we are taking as a constant, V1, lambda 0 1, lambda 0 and lambda 1 value need to be determined by imposing some constraints. So I have also mentioned the quartic self couplings of lambda 0 and lambda 1. These are the expressions. Now, coming to the most important part, that is the constraint, all theoretical and experimental constraints has to be imposed upon the parameter space, and we would like to analyze and scan the parameter space of the couplings lambda 0 1, lambda 0 2 and lambda 1 2. Now, we would like to focus on two of the choices for the scalar Higgs masses. So, in the first choice, we are fixing the lighter scalar to be the Higgs boson, and the heavier one, that is M capital H having mass 250 GeV. In the second choice, we are focusing on the heavier scalar being the standard model Higgs, and the lighter one has a value of 80 GeV. Now we are imposing the major constraints like vacuum stability, collider constraints, and LHC Higgs searches. Now the vacuum stability analysis of this model is quite involved. We know that there is an important criteria for symmetry breaking is the wrong sign of the mass star. Now imposing the positivity bound on lambda 0 and lambda 1, which are the quartic couplings, we can obtain an upper bound on the coupling lambda 01, the lambda 01 being the coupling between the standard model doublet phi and S1. So here in this diagram, we represent lambda 0 versus lambda 01 and lambda 1 versus lambda 01 plot. So the graph shown that are the allowed range of lambda 01, rest of the parameter space is unphysical. And we have plotted it for two of our choices of the Higgs masses, scalar Higgs masses, like 80 GeV and 125 GeV, and then 125 GeV and 250 GeV. And obviously, we have plotted it for various values of the V1 starting from 1 TeV, 0.5 TeV, and 0.3 TeV. We can see the variation for different V1. Now, next coming to the collider constraint, we know the major collider constraint on the Higgs portal dark matter sector comes from the branching ratio of the Higgs invisible decays. Again, we are considering two of the choices for case 1, where MH is 125 GeV and both small h and S2 are smaller. In that case, we need to consider the decays of capital H into HH and capital H into S2. In the next case, where the M small h value is 125 GeV and M capital H being 250 GeV, the only decay that is relevant is H to S2. Now, for analyzing these, we need to fix the value of lambda 01, which we have chosen from the previously imposed constraint from vacuum stability. We have chosen lambda 01 to be 0.008 for the 80 GeV Higgs, and for 250 GeV case, we have chosen it to be 0.04. Now, here what we are observing is the contour of the branching ratio. As per the Atlas result, that is the strongest till date, the value should be around 11%. So therefore, here in the plot, you can see the contours of branching ratio 11%. Again, for different choices of V1, like 1 TeV, 0.5 TeV, and 0.3 TeV. For MH equal to 125 GeV and M small h to be equal to 125 GeV for both the case. Now we can see in the right hand side where M capital H is 250 and M small h is 125, we can observe the allowed region as the band. So for each of the value of V1, we can observe a band, and within the band, it is allowed range of lambda 1, 2 and lambda 0, 2. That's how we can obtain a bound. The next one is coming from the LHC Higgs searches. We know that after the discovery of the standard model like Higgs, the LHC experiment have continued to look for heavier scalars in variety of spinel states. So here we have plotted the allowed regions in the lambda 0 to lambda 1 2 parameter space for the heavy scalar searches, and we have utilized both the 8 TeV and 13 TeV data, and it is shown in the diboson channel gluon to H and WWO with the gauge boson decaying either leptonically or hadronically. So we can have a magnified view of the 13 TeV constraints that we have shown on the right hand side. Again, we have chosen the value of mH to be 125 GB and m capital H to be 250 GB. So these are all about the constraints we would like to put on the coupling parameters of this model. Later on, we'll use these when we'll explore the phenomenology of the model. This model offers a rich phenomenology in terms of dark matter detection. First, we'll focus on the direct detection part. We know that the dark matter and the nucleon interact through this effective Lagrangian shown here, and we can obtain the value of the spin independent scattering cross section, where we have assumed that the contribution from the quark contribution is equal for both the nucleons n and p. Now we see here the coupling lambda capital H to S2 and lambda small h to S2 is very much relevant, and we can obtain the value of the scattering cross section for few of the benchmark points. Now, for simplicity of the analysis, we have chosen a set of benchmark point. The first two set of benchmark point chose the masses of the Higgs to be 80 GeV and 125 GeV with the values of lambda 01, lambda 02 and lambda 12, which gives the desired cross section of the spin independent scattering. We see the range of the cross section is around 10 raised to minus 47 to 10 raised to minus 49 centimeter square. The raised 2 benchmark point is for mH to be equal to 125 GeV and m capital H to be equal to 250 GeV, and we see that here also we have chosen a set of lambdas from the previously imposed constraints, and here also we obtain the value of the scattering cross section around 10 raised to minus 47 to 10 raised to minus 48 centimeter square. Now, if we plot the cross section versus the dark matter mass, so here for all the benchmark points, and here we have shown the results from the recent experiments like LUX, Xenon 1T, Xenon 1T and 2 sigma results. So we see that our model lies well below these constraints. So we can comment that this model is consistent with the direct detection of dark matter. Now, focusing on the relic abundance part. So the relic abundance formula, it's well known and given here in this particular model. The dark matter annihilates to the standard model particle only through the scalar portal or the Higgs portal interactions. So the relevant channels for this calculation would be the S channel diagram through small h and capital H as the propagators to BB bar, tau tau, W plus, W minus, ZZ and HH final states. Now, if we chose the dark matter mass to be around 40 GeV, then we get the dominant contribution to the annihilation channel that will arise precisely for the BB bar and tau tau bar channels. And here we'll see that the Bright-Wigner resonance will play a pivotal role in enhancing the velocity average cross section of the dark matter annihilation so that we can obtain the correct relic abundance. This will be clear if we plot the WS versus the dark matter mass, and we show that this is the dominant contribution coming for BB bar and tau bar channel. So here we see that we can obtain the resonance at mH equal to 80 GeV and mH equal to 125 GeV. So here in the first plot where mH, m small h is 80 GeV and m capital H is 125 GeV, we can see the resonance at roughly mH by 2 value, that is around 40 GeV and around 62.5 GeV. In the next plot where MH is 125 GeV and M capital H is 250 GeV, we see again the resonance around 125 GeV and 62.5 GeV. So these, due to the Breit-Wigner resonance, we observe a peak value, and that will help us to obtain the correct Rayleigh abundance. So here is the Rayleigh abundance plot as a function of the dark matter mass. So the horizontal dotted line shows the measured value of the Rayleigh abundance from the latest experiments, that is around 0.12, and we have shown two of the benchmark point on the left hand side and two of the benchmark points 3 and 4 on the right hand side for the Breit-Wigner resonance points where we can obtain the correct Rayleigh abundance. Another interesting feature was reported, that is for the observed gamma ray excess that is found in the Fermi-Lat data points, which directs towards a specially extended excess of 1 to 3 GeV gamma rays from the regions surrounding the galactic center. And we know that the morphology and the spectrum of which is best fitted with the predicted values of dark matter mass around 36 to 51 GeV, and the annihilation is dominant into the BB bar with an annihilation cross section of 1 to 3 10 to minus 26 centimeter cube per second. Now we would like to show in this model that this particular annihilation cross section into BB bar can be achieved with the benchmark point choice of 1, which denotes the masses of the Higgs being 80 GeV and 125 GeV with the choice of the parameter of lambda 01, lambda 02 and lambda 12 being this, and we can obtain the desired value for describing the gamma ray excess. So this is another very important and interesting feature of this model to address the gamma ray excess. Now to summarize my talk, we have studied a simple scalar extension of the standard model with two real singlets S1 and S2 with Z2 cross Z2 prime symmetry, and the Z2 prime symmetry remains unbroken, and the dark matter candidate is stable by virtue of the unbroken Z2 symmetry. We can restrict the choice of the coupling parameters from the various constraints like vacuum stability, branching Higgs invisible branching ratio, and the LHC Higgs searches. We have shown that the coupling of lambda 01 is constrained to lie within the range of 10 to minus 1 to 10 to minus 2, and that is by virtue of vacuum stability. Now the direct bound from the Higgs invisible decays impose the constraint on lambda 02 being of the order of 10 to minus 2 to 10 to minus 3. Now the direct detection constraint is relaxed to a great extent by the destructive interference between the two channels, that is the T channel diagram for H and capital H propagator, while the Breit-Wigner resonance help us to enhance the annihilation cross section, thus addressing the correct Rayleigh abundance. An additional feature of this model is to be able to explain the gamma ray excess for an dark matter in the mass range of 36 to 51 GeV with the correct annihilation cross section into BB bar. This work is majorly based on this reference. Thank you for your patience listening.